All right. Hello, everyone. My name is James Laverack. I am the Kubernetes 127 release team Optimus advisor. My pronouns are he, him, and it's nice to see you all here. It is Wednesday, the 1st of March, 2023 at 800 UTC, and this is the Kubernetes 127 release retrospective part 1. I am going to share a link to the notes in the chat if you want to take a look at that, although you should be able to see my screen as well. I'd like to remind everyone that this meeting, as with all of our meetings, is covered by the Kubernetes Contributor Code of Conduct. Please give that a read if you have not already, but it boils down to please be excellent to each other at all times. I'd like to thank Laura, who will be our scribe today. Thank you very much for volunteering, Laura. All right, we have this meeting scheduled until 18:45, so 41 minutes from now. I'm going to put a hard-ish cutoff at that because I know these things tend to go over. And if we need to schedule more sessions, then we can. All right, with that noted, let's get started. So the first thing, which we're going to tentatively time box to 10 minutes, we'll see how that goes, is previous retro follow-up. So these are action items from previous retros in former cycles. And we're going to take a look and see how we are with these things. So automate an enhancer tracking GitHub project. This is Mark has done. Mark, I assume this is done as far as you're concerned.
Yeah, we've figured out how we've worked with the Kate's Test Infra team to get prow jobs up running periodically to update both the bug triage and the enhancements board a couple of weeks ago. So that's good.
Nice. That's good. I assume the second one is very similar, isn't it?
Yeah, that was the first item is one of the items on creating that tracking issue for switching over.
There we go. Cool. Well, that's very good. All right. Bug triage role handbook update. When master blocking jobs fail, post a public channel and DM leads confirm seeing the message. I'm not sure if we have. Do we have anyone who looked after this from before on? Is this current practice? Was this updated? Does anyone know? No. Okay, we can circle to back to that one in future releases. We have a bunch here from Leo, but Leo I don't think is on this call as far as I can see. Automate weekly CI signal report. Oh yes, how's this going? I know it was talked about quite a lot. Can anyone talk to this?
I'm not Leo, but I can say that it's not automated. And
okay.
Also this issue has been closed for lifecycle. So I'm not sure if it's going to be in its state as discussed as a retro item.
Sure. Okay. I guess we can come back to this one when we do our next retro pass in part 2, and we can kind of discuss.
Yeah, and I do have I happen to have a point on this tool in the retro itself, so we can circle back on that then.
Okay, yeah, we'll circle back on this one. All right, CI signal to pilot SIPI for 126. Did they? I wasn't around in 126, I don't know. I think this was
no.
No.
Yeah, SIPI hasn't really integrated into the CI signal process at all.
Okay. Very well. We don't get to do everything. It happens. Speaking of things that didn't get done, update lead handbook of a section on what happens if release is delayed. This was actually item for me, and I haven't done it, so that's where we are with that. I still just need to do it. There we are. Kat, I think Kat's actually here. Update the comms handbook with more details around removal blog.
I am here. The comms, that's old. I think that's from actually like 3 releases ago, and the comms handbook has been updated a couple times since then. However, there is something that should be on here that was an action item from the last release retro of mine that is not on here. And that was with respect to documenting the process for the removal or replacement of a shadow. There is an issue open for that for discussion, but it has gotten 0 traction. Let me grab the issue for you real quick. But well, my cat has a meltdown behind me. see.
Oh, I see. Yes, it's possible we've missed ones from previous retros. My bad. Okay.
Yeah. Trying to dig it out, but yeah, you can mark the updates comms handbook one done. That's done.
Okay. That. It's nice green color somewhere.
And the missing one was about
That is worth
shadows, out of touch shadows for any subteam.
Yeah. It was out of touch shadows for any subteam. Like anytime, I mean, both when a shadow like goes AFK and we can't get a hold of them and they're not, you know, able to actually work and they need to be removed and replaced, or if a shadow needs to step down. Because like this is a process that exists, but it is completely undocumented and has been kind of handed down as like weird like tribal knowledge from lead to lead, and it also doesn't come up until it's a problem enough that the lead goes running to the release lead to ask what to do. So it should be documented, and it's not. As soon as I find the issue I opened, I will drop it in there.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you, Kat. Apologies
Mhm.
that I got missed from this.
No worries.
All right. Did anyone have anything else to say on that point before we move on? No. All right. Next, clarify what is out of tree in docs from Jeremy. I don't think Jeremy is on the call. Did we do any docs update to clarify out of treeness of things? Is that something we talked about at any point?
I don't know that there's been any follow-up, but we should
Sure.
continue to push on that. I was in the policy work group call this morning, and they were talking about putting a KEP together for something that wasn't in tree at all. And I got the chance to say, like, well, you don't actually need a KEP for that. Like, you just need a sponsoring SIG to go to Kubernetes SIGs. But I do think it's been a point of confusion in previous releases. Like, do out of tree things need a KEP? And I think I've seen a lot of out of tree KEPs still do a KEP as a means to try and get included as a major theme and things like that, when, you know, yeah. A summary, I think we should have some more documentation around what that means. And yeah.
Okay. So if there's been work done, there's still work to be done. So I guess we can leave this one for now. All right. Next one, very similar, follow up with role handbook updates. Ray doesn't look to be on the call, and I don't have any more detail on what this means. So I guess I'll ask Ray after the call if he what he meant with this. So I know Ray did do a bunch of updates, so maybe I don't know. Does anyone know anything about this? No. Okay. I will follow it with Ray and find out what's going on with that one. Okay. Remove soft from PRR soft deadline from release timeline. Grace. This was something that's done.
Yeah, it's been done before the last retro, so.
Oh, okay. It's possible I have an old set of action items here. I will review that in a moment. Okay, so this one and this one are also done.
That's fair. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Grace. Triage existing items and migrate to project board and okay. Again, I think you're on the. Oh, this is the thing that this is this board, isn't it? That I don't think we look at very often. I guess, well, if this is with SIG release leads, I don't think there is anything more to be done on this one that we know of, right? Tracking issues, CI signal report include human content, like stack failures and kudos from Adolfo. Again, I don't think Dolfo is around. So any particular update on this one for everyone? Nope. Okay, I'll move on. And then lastly, capture knowledge about is ideal to have 2 beta releases. Again, no, I don't see anyone who dealt with this. I don't see CC either. Hey, can anyone talk to this? Nope. Okay.
I know about the extra RC release, but not any discussion, previous discussion around betas.
Okay. I do wonder if I have an old version of these that I need to go back and do. I will check that in a moment. For now, let's go on to the actual retro discussion items itself, and I'll circle back to this. All right. So onto the main part of the retro, which is actually talking about what's happened recently. Xander, 0 exception requests.
This is bananas. Like it's absolutely wild how smoothly this release has gone. And like, you know, if any first time shadows are on the call, like it's not usually this chill. Like it's there's usually a lot more, like, I don't know, it's a very atypically calm release, and I'm trying to treasure it and not jinx it. And I don't know, maybe we've just like reached the singularity where Kubernetes is just like kind of releasing itself at this point. Not to discredit all the amazing work that folks have been doing, because you know it really is because of all of the wonderful work that people have been putting into it that it has become this smooth. And like huge credit to the folks that have put in the work to the new enhancements and bug triage processes, like moving over to the GitHub boards. Like I think it has had an absolutely immeasurable impact on the stability and you know flow of the release. So yeah, huge thank you to everybody. Like I think the community is really appreciating how much better this process has gotten because of what people have put into it. So yeah, just awesome. Kudos to everyone.
It's honestly so smooth. It's starting to make me a little anxious.
Yeah.
Like I'm wondering if
like,
we're just missing something.
I feel the same way.
Is there an email that I didn't get or something? Like,
I mean, one email with 30 exception requests just sat in it.
Yeah,
I've been ignoring my GitHub notifications for a while because like, what's the point? But like, I'm worried that I missed. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, well, yeah, absolutely +1 to this thing. Smooth. This is the smoothest release I've ever seen, and I've done 8 of these now, 9 of these. I don't remember. So, but yeah, great work everyone for making this as seamless as it has been so far. We'll see how Kofus goes. Not to jinx it too much. All right. Did anyone have anything else to kind of say or comment on Xander's point in this issue? No. All right. Thank you, Xander. Mark, no reported issues with 6 gang exceptions added.
Yeah, I was just comparing this to the 126 release, which was the first release that we used the enhancements tracking board, and there was some confusion and some like misconfiguration for which groups needed to be updated so that the label lead opted in could be applied by leads and things. But this release, it was really smooth, and I feel like SIGs pretty much started adding their enhancements to the tracking board like right after the call for enhancements mail went out, which was very helpful for the enhancements team. So I think it's just the process is maturing.
Excellent. It's really good to see. Yeah, any further comments on this? No? Okay. That brings us to the end of our what went well section. Let's go on to what could have gone better. Mark, kept PR template when changes were not widely communicated.
Yes, so for this release, I don't exactly know the timeline. It was either right before the release started or right after the release started. There was a new PRR question that got added to the kept template for enhancements that were going to beta. and that wasn't widely communicated with at least the enhancements team and other people. And it just caused a little bit more work for enhancement owners, especially ones that were just that were already had like approvals to go to beta or stable in a previous release, and thought that they didn't need to do another PRR review, and then the PRR teams takes a look and says, oh, like, please do another PR to address these sections. So, and this is something that I was kind of thinking about anyway, to automate some of the work the enhancements team does, but I created an issue in the enhancements repository to create to have a proposal that we start versioning the kept templates and have some sort of basic PR check to make sure that all the required fields are filled out. And brought that to the SIG-Arch enhancement subproject meeting, and there's some meeting notes there. I think there's agreement to do something like this. There's not quite agreement on what exactly to do, and some of the big concerns are, like, we still want people to feel like there's humans they can reach out to for all of these, which I think is important, and kind of trying to find a balance between, automating everything and having the human touch.
That makes sense. Okay. Do we want to add an action item for this one? Or are we happy just with the existing tracking that we've got? Because it sounds like you're already bringing this to
yeah, I
kind
think
of SIG-Arch.
Garrison was also very interested in this, and that I need to see what came out of this. So maybe we should add an action item to follow up on this, especially before 128 opens, to have like more of a process in place of saying like when like should we when do we freeze the kept template, and how do we communicate changes better at a minimum.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll add an action item for that, and we'll circle back to it next release. All right, thank you very much, Mark. I think that's everything for our what could have gone better sections. Now we move on to what we do differently. Marcus is actually going to be doing a lot of talking. Should we still use tracked no and tracked yes?
This kind of came up now that everything is in the enhancements tracking sheet, and we have a dedicated like status column that says, tracked, removed for milestone, deferred. A lot of some enhancement owners or some SIG leads were, questioning like what's the significance of the tracked yes or no, which one is the source of truth, is it the status in the board or not? And I didn't really have a good answer, so I thought I would bring it up here. I think the enhancements team was mainly using the board and those columns as a source of truth, especially because we can have historical data over the course of the like for each release, there's one board per release, whereas the tracked yes and no's kind of got removed at the end of a release and then got added at the beginning of a release. So I think there's just a discussion with the release team and tracking and enhancements team about, do we actually still want to continue using those tracked no yes labels? Sure.
Grace, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I think the benefit of these labels were for the point in which like after enhancement freeze and right before code freeze, where we like might not have like gone through and updated all the labels yet. But like totally in favor of removing this, because it's more work for the enhancement lead at the beginning of the cycle and the end of the cycle to kind of go through and make sure all these are tracked. So I don't see a problem with removing them.
I guess we should probably add an action item for this too, to start a discussion or like have a decision, documented about this.
Yeah, I'm not certain what the exact form will be, whether or not you need to take this to SIG release as a process change, or whether this could be decided just by the release team itself. So yeah,
Possibly
I'd say
SIG-Arch, I think
possibly SIG-Arch as well. Yeah, it's going to need to be communicated as a change if you're going to make it as a change anyway. So yes, I'd definitely make it an action item. And we can probably start by bringing it up to SIG release and kind of go from there to see what the feeling is. At the very least, my experience is that, with these ideas, when you take it to SIG release, someone will pop up and say, well, actually, you need it because of X. And you'll go, oh, yeah. All right, okay. We will take that. Mark, do you want that one? Do you want to collect all these action items?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. Excellent. All right. Consider the next item. Oh, did anyone have anything else to say on this item before we move on, actually? Nope. All right. Mark again, consider changing the format for the release webinar. For 126 release, for the 126 release, the lead spent 15 minutes per enhancement, and the webinar felt both rushed and more like most of the information could have been just gotten with the release notes.
That should be 15 seconds.
I was gonna say I can't imagine talking about every single enhancement for 15 minutes. 15 seconds. Okay.
I have to agree on this. Like, I don't know. It doesn't feel useful to just basically read the release notes to people for 45 minutes. You know, I don't understand what the benefit is. It's a lot of work for like really questionable payoff. And I think it would be more useful if the release webinar was functionally just a webinar version of the release blog.
I actually have it on my to-do list today to reach out to CNCF to discuss this. I think the webinar should be focused on major themes. Yeah.
Yeah, especially because we have like 78 potential enhancements this time. There's going to be even less time per enhancement. So.
Okay. Xander, do you want to take an action item on this one since you're already doing it?
Yep.
Cool. Anyone?
Sorry, Xander, who are you talking to about this?
CNCF. I don't know who from CNCF yet, but someone.
I would just email like webinar at CNCFIO the same way the comms lead does when they go to schedule it.
Yeah, I was gonna check the comms handbook to see, but that sounds right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any further comments on this one, on the release webinar? No. All right, moving on. Laura, want to confirm the utility and scope of a CI signal report, specifically the attached generated report like this, and the pair job details suggested in the template. So happened the generated report tool needed some unexpected maintenance cycle for updating docs training on it. I want to make sure the output is still useful.
Yeah, so I just specifically want to follow up about those two links, the report output, which is like this grid of what is in GitHub and what is in test grid also with some of those stats. And then the other part that's also linked is the template that CI Signal has for this includes that we should mention what we investigated for the week with like a lot of metadata transposed into this format in the email blast. And so just wanted to kind of bring these two things up and make sure that they're still useful. Or for people who've been in the releases longer and benefited from these reports, maybe share if you think that that is worth the investment before I add in some more docs and train the rest of my shadows this time.
Any thoughts? Xander, do you have a feeling on this one?
Sorry. I'm getting pinged back and forth for work too.
Oh.
No problem.
I mean, I'm just reading through right now. The CI signal report, like, it's like the role that I don't have as much background with.
Yeah, I guess also like, I don't know if everybody who has the most investment in it is like here to, talk about it or defend its utility. And also I'm not sure we have a great way to like get metrics on how useful it is. So I kind of have to go just off of my intuition or, you know, what we can all agree to in the retro, unless someone has a better idea.
Who do you think the people who get the most use out of it are?
I think I don't know if anybody gets a lot of use out of it is my starting point. I know that there's a lot of people who have worked on the CI signal report tool, and I understand from like past retros that like needing more like bursts of communication to the larger community was of interest, and this was like a platform for that. I think the scope for it has like expanded and contracted over time, and so if I guess like I want to figure out is what people need an update on, like the CI health for this release, is what people need like a touch point to know that the release is still happening, which doesn't necessarily need as much work from the CI signal team to like provide just that part if they're not going to like need to follow up with all the like details. Yeah, that's kind of like what I'm trying to figure out the audience is, and if that can inform how much we need to keep supporting the generated report or adding in lots of details into this email as opposed to like our normal weekly report or just within our subteam.
Sure. Grace?
Yeah, I wanted to add, like, from my very bare experience from release management, that when a release is cut and stuff like that, they just take a screenshot of the task grid. So I don't know, like maybe Xander can speak to this, but I don't know if branch management is using this report.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think to me, the core consumers I would think would be branch management and SIG release leads. And, you know, when I shout out branch management, we weren't, you know, we didn't use this specific report. So if there isn't demand from branch management or the SIG release leads, I think it would be fair to continue to like go forward discussing retiring this at the SIG release community meeting.
Okay. All right. So what I'm hearing is that there's some confusion maybe on who the intended audience is. It might be branch release management or SIG release leads. It gets sent to dev at, so I think there's a history of it being about like keeping general dev up to date, but I don't know that it's doing that. But then either way, it sounds like to bring that up and figure out what to actually do goes to SIG release. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay.
I think that would be a good start. I mean, especially if it goes up to KDev, then we're probably gonna have to ask further in the community as well. But yeah, I think your next steps would be to bring it up to SIG release and see what we get out of that. All right. Does anyone have any further points, questions, comments on this issue? No. All right. It does bring us to the end of our agenda. I'm just going to quickly go take a look at the 126 retro document to see if I have missed a bunch of the action items. Action items 126. Oh, there was a few that didn't get copied over. We can talk about those very briefly. Oh my God, how do you use Google Docs again? All right, I guess if people don't mind, we'll jump back to these very briefly. Mark, create issue in K community to discuss chair responsibility for shepherds in
I was going to create an issue, and then I did find some documents that already did discuss the differences, like the chair's responsibilities for shepherding and enhancements. And also, I think that there's some clarification between the roles of chairs versus tech leads coming from either steering or Contribex pretty soon. Just being a SIG lead myself, that's kind of being discussed. So I don't think there's anything needed at this point.
All right. And this one is already marked off. So Grace, I assume that this follow-up in Slack occurred.
Yeah, this is also a long time ago.
Okay. All right. Kat, I wonder where your action item went that you had last time. Did it just get
disappear into the ether? Like, because other people here remember us having that conversation, right? Like, because I can see the conversation we had in Slack before and after that retro. So, like,
oh, here we
yeah,
go.
so it's
AI
right here.
AI Cat. It just
yeah,
didn't.
it just didn't get put up top. Yeah.
All right. Okay. That's why
So,
it got missed. My apologies.
yeah, no worries. So the that's actually Jeremy's bad, I think, because he was running this call and he's not here. So we can absolutely just blame Jeremy for this one. But yeah, the issue is sitting there. It's just that like it didn't get any attention at all. None of the people I tagged in it weighed in. So I don't really know what to do short of like chucking it in the SIG release Slack channel and saying, hey, can we please talk about this?
Yeah, I mean, we could just do it, right? I mean, I'm not sure that we necessarily need permission to create a documentation update.
I mean, part of it is that like there does need to be a conversation around it because we don't know, like there is no defined criteria for what constitutes an inactive shadow.
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
Like I've had shadows who were straight up like just they never did anything, right? They showed up for orientation and then did nothing and responded nothing on Slack. And I've had a shadow who was like fairly active on Slack, but then refused to do any like actually assigned work, right? Like he would talk, but not actually do anything. So there needs to be like a definition of what constitutes inactive.
Sure.
And that requires a group discussion, I think. We
Yeah,
can't make that decision unilaterally.
Yeah, you're right. I agree. Okay. I guess, yeah, we'll have to take it to SIG release.
Okay.
All right. I'm not going to do it now, but before the next retro, I'll go through this document and pick out all the other AIs that might have been missed. All right. I think that is everything we have in this retro. Did anyone else have anything to bring up, anything to mention?
Yeah, sorry, one quick note. I vaguely remember a conversation between about including maybe I think it's comms about better including it on the board, and like Mark, if you remember, like how do we make the board better for other teams, because it was quite optimized for enhancement at that point. So maybe we can bring that back up and get again, like see how folks in comms are doing, and like I don't know if they need a column or something.
Yeah, Fred was the comms lead for 126 and he's on the call, so maybe he can weigh in. There are a lot more views that got created from the project board in 126, like even after enhancements freeze. And I carried all of those forward when I created the 127 board, and it looked like they were used, but I have no sense of how useful it was for the other teams.
There's a question in chat of, is there any documentation on what channels of communications exist and what their intended purpose is?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that's a no, isn't it?
Yeah, they're not as far as I'm aware. Which is maybe a problem. There is a lot of just like asking somebody, where do I go ask this question? Or a bunch of random stuff showing up in SIG release.
Yeah, sorry, it's my first time, but I just wanted to say, like, there seems to be sort of a communication sprawl between the Google groups and the Slack chat and the emails and the meetings and everything. And I was just hoping for maybe some way to understand where I should go for things, or if I'm even missing a form of communication that would be beneficial to me, because I don't know.
Well, welcome. Yeah, I don't think there is like a central document that defines that as a thing, unless anyone can point to one. I think Kat, you're right. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, there's not. Maybe there should be, but then it kind of, I don't know, becomes difficult to define what kind of conversation is appropriate and which avenue. Like in my experience, the Slacks are generally for less formal or more time sensitive conversations specific to like releases or KEPs. The mailing lists get used for like official comms and or for like governance issues. And then you've got GitHub issues going on too, but that gets hyper specific. I don't know. I usually start with Slack and just ask the question there. And if I'm in the wrong place, somebody will point me to the right place, but it is almost always just another Slack channel, not like an entirely different avenue for communicating.
Yeah, I certainly don't want to limit conversation, just don't want to miss out. I'm trying to, participate, and it can be like a huge flow of information all at once.
Oh, for sure.
So I'm just trying to find all the different avenues where information is coming from so that I can at least receive all of it and then start trying to understand it.
Should we add an action item to update the release team documentation to have a bit about communication?
Yeah, I guess so. Sure.
Okay. I can take that as an AI if you want. I need to change the handbook anyway.
Okay.
Unless you particularly want it, Kat.
No.
Didn't think so. All right, cool. Yeah. I think we possibly had a couple more things, Grace, on the enhancement board integration with comms points. I think there were still a few more bits on that.
Yeah, I think Mark mentioned someone in the call who might be relevant.
Yeah, Fred, are you on the call still?
I'm gonna take that as a no.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we can bring that one up in the next retro. We can add it as an item to discuss in part 2. We are very nearly at the end of the time anyway. We technically have about 3 minutes left. Slice to fit everything in. All right. Any further points? Anything else anyone would like to bring up? Anything I've missed before we end for today? No. All right. In which case, thank you very much, everyone, for coming. Thank you to everyone who contributed to this meeting discussion. Thank you, Laura, for taking some excellent notes and action items during this thing. And yeah, I will stop the recording now once I find the button.